Hi there, welcome to today's masterclass on installing rooftop solar systems. My name is Emma Woods. I'm a senior consultant at Turner and Townsend, and as part of the Social Housing Retrofit Accelerator, we're joined today with Raman and Martin. Raman's from Illum Energy and Martin's from Your Housing Group.
Thank you, Emma. Briefly about me, I'm Ryan Akimov, Business Development Manager at Illum Energy. I'm very much closely working with the social housing providers, housing associations, local authorities across the UK. This session aims to demonstrate how registered providers can leverage the social solar system, offering one of the most cost-effective retrofit solution for multi-tenanted apartment buildings. Just to give you a bit of context, implementation of this system can potentially boost your SAP scores up to 15, 20 points and significantly reduce energy bills for the residents, all within a budget of less than 5K per flat. Firstly, I'll talk about the challenges with retrofitting flats. Then I will present the solution, which help yourselves overcome those challenges. I will then demonstrate how you can benefit from social solar systems. Furthermore, you will get a better understanding of Illum's contribution to your retrofit strategy within the context of the HDF Wave 1 case studies that we've successfully delivered for the Your Housing Group in Manchester. To start with, as we navigate through the challenges of decarbonising over 1 million social housing flats, it's imperative that we discuss innovative solutions tailored to these unique challenges. We recognise that complexity of the fabric-first approaches for multiple reasons, really, which sometimes present challenges such as limited access to flats, resident engagement issues, it's difficult of replicating the same fabric-first measure for all the flats within the same block, and requiring bespoke solutions for each flat. And varying EPC ratings of some flats, usually on the ground floor and on the top floor, is another challenge for social housing providers. And plus, solar is often seen as a challenge or not applicable in some funding streams because no solution really existed before. And still, millions of vulnerable families are eagerly waiting for the solutions to be delivered in the social housing flats across the sector. But we have good news. The good news is we have a solution, which is tested, commercially fitted piece of hardware technology. So briefly, a context about Illum. The business launched in 2015 in Australia, and then we expanded to New Zealand, England, Wales, Scotland, Germany, and the US markets. So Solskjaer is the world's only hardware technology which allows a single rooftop solar system to be shared by multiple flats within the same block. 18 months ago, we had the opportunity to meet with the Social Housing Decarbonisation Fund team of Business for Energy Security and Net Zero. And well, for two main reasons, they urge social housing providers to include Solskjaer solar systems into their Wave 2.1 and Wave 2.2 applications. So one of the reasons was, of course, the significant contribution of Illum in terms of decarbonising social housing flats and bringing significant direct benefits to the residents. The second element was the digitization of the retrofit element, which at the end of the installation process, we do provide access yourselves with a data acquisition tool. So all the energy demand, all the export to grid and the consumption of each individual flat and all this kind of, and also life monitoring functionalities. And this is how we ended up being utilized on the HDF Wave 1 and being specified by a number of housing associations and local authorities in Wave 2.1 and Wave 2.2 in the current application. So to name a few, Rural Care Housing, Hague Housing, London Borough of Enfield, London Borough of Lewisham, South Lakes Homes, Barnsbury Housing Associations, and a couple of others are utilizing our systems in their HDF applications. In a nutshell, Solskjaer addresses these challenges head on. So by tailoring kilowatt peak allocation to each flat, Solskjaer becomes a beacon for SAP score increases and offering the best method for reducing fuel poverty with minimal or no resident engagement. So a bit of context here again, if there is any specific SAP demand or you have an EPC discrepancy in blocks of flats, with the Solskjaer you can allocate, you can specify different proportions or percentages of the solar to be delivered to each connected flat. which helps you overcome these challenges again and they get the same level of EPCs. Or the other option is you can allocate the same kilowatt peak for everybody to ensure that all the residents get the same kilowatt peak, the same kilowatt hours from the social solar system. In terms of the resident engagement, I already highlighted there is a very minimal and sometimes no resident engagement. We're not talking about the hardware installations within each individual flat. The only disruption to the building, the only resident engagement element happens when the electricity meters are located within each individual flat. And then the installers or contractors, they need to run the AC, single AC cable to the consumer unit. And that's the only resident engagement and apartment access required. Apart from that, it's relatively a very user-friendly experience. In terms of the DNO, no engagement with the DNOs as well. Only contractors or installers need to submit G99 application. So this also has nothing to do with the electrical infrastructure, no sign-ups, no changes needed in terms of electrical setup. So everyone, all the customers, all the households are free, independent to choose their energy retailers. So anyone can opt in utilizing different electricity providers. So no hardware installations and no changes again. Also, the SoulShare offers you the flexibility of connecting some flats or all flats. So anyone can opt in, anyone can opt out with a SoulShare solar system, depending upon the preferences. Compatibility of working, pairing the SoulShare with other low carbon technologies, it gives you another great advantage of utilizing different energy efficient technologies, which helps you decarbonize your housing stock and makes your homes much more energy efficient. In terms of the cost, it is very easy, fast, affordable solution, retrofit measure. The unit cost of the SoulShare is 7.5 grand, and it has 15 connections. One SoulShare unit can be connected to 15 flats. So per flat, we're talking about £500, and then you can have a 10, 15, 20 SAP score increase with this cost. And of course, you need to add up the installation cost as well. And fully installed cost of the SoulShare is we're talking about 3 to 5K per flat, and that covers everything, all the solar power system, including the SoulShare kit, cables, labor, installation costs, and everything else really. This is the case study, as I talked about, highlighted about different EPC scores within the block. So this is one of the new build case studies we had, 6 blocks of 90 flats, each block comprised of 15 flats. As you can see, prior to the SoulShare installation, all the EPCs were C, but they had a bit of SAP scores discrepancy in terms of some of them were 72, some of the flats were 80, 76. So the purpose, the client request was to increase the EPC band by 1 and also to get the same level of SAP scores. So with different kilowatt peak allocations, 1.5, 1, 0.5, you can achieve the same level of EPC scores. So this is a critical advantage of utilizing SoulShare solar system. So now let's talk about the benefits, so how you can benefit from the system. So there are numerous funding routes, first of all, available, including the possibility of being 100% funded with various combinations. The SoulShare has been approved by Ofgem and by Business for Energy Security and Net Zero as an innovation measure with a substantial uplift, which is the highest uplift, 4 to 5% for off-gas properties with the EPCs E, F, G, and D rated properties. So if you have similar properties, then we can, together with our partners, we can unlock significant funding opportunity and sometimes up to 100% funded opportunity for you. And also you can utilize different measures in different funding streams. So ACHDF for some measures and ICAFOR for other measure. You can have a combination of 2 different streams, and then you can basically make your homes much more energy efficient with these funding streams. SoulShare also provides the fastest route for drawing down funding, a crucial consideration as you must spend 60% of the ACHDF fund in the new applications. So ensuring also, it ensures that the execution of the measures in the right order is crucial to avoid losing funding. So the SoulShare fits seamlessly into this strategy. And you can also see the feedback. As I promised, we'll be sending some video coverage, some promo marketing materials after the webinar. And so we can share the testimonials of residents in the next couple of weeks' time. But we've already received some quotes and feedback from our residents, and we're really, really extremely delighted to hear their feedback, as everyone really benefits from the soul share, and we make a positive impact in their lives. I think this is the very last slide of mine. So how Illume Energy can contribute to your retrofit strategy. So now turning our attention how Illume can support you, we are ready to assess your portfolio. So specifically focusing on low mid-rise properties with flats fed from an MSDB, which is multi-service distribution board. So it's important for us to understand and identify the technical feasibility of those flats that you identify as suitable sites. So all those blocks need to have a main income supply from the DNO with the multi-service distribution board, which they then submeter. They supply electricity to different flats. So this is when we understand that we can incorporate solar solar system. We can also arrange the feasibility studies, site visits, and we can arrange the indicative cost together with the benefits. We can also advise on how possible funding routes you can utilize, and we can recommend appropriate contractors from our installation network, ensuring a smooth and effective implementation. It's important to highlight that we have simplified procurement. So we are not part of frameworks, we're not part of actively involved in procurement, and we can work with your preferred contractors, main ones, other contractors that you prefer working with. We can easily train them up, or you as a social housing landlord, you can ask our recommendations, and we can also recommend in make introductions to installers and contractors that they are certified SoulShare installers. In conclusion, we encourage social housing providers, especially in the new wave, to include blocks of flats into their new application. So, and we're more than willing to contribute, collaborate with you, contribute to your net zero goals, and most crucially, build trusted and reliable relationships. Now, I leave it to Martin to talk about the case studies that we've successfully delivered for them.
Hi, everybody. Just wanted to discuss our case study, our SHDF Wave 1 project, and the outcomes of that, and the challenges that we faced throughout the entire program. We encountered some issues with our original bid. The properties that we factored in had to be changed a number of times due to PAS 2035 compliance, not able to access all the flats for the original external wall insulation measures that we proposed for the bid. Because of that, we were facing some quite tight delivery deadlines to achieve the Wave 1 program completion dates. For that reason, we needed to find a solution that could be installed quite quickly, and that our contractors were able to be able to work with us on. We installed 63 solar PV systems through the SoulShare, 63 flats installed across four individual sites. That comprised of 8 SoulShare systems at a combined kilowatt peak of 192 kilowatts. That was an immediate impact for our customers, and it's proven quite good for those customers that are on electric heating systems and being able to reduce their running costs. All properties achieved at least an EPCC following the works, and no equipment was installed in the flats, which was great with regards to resident engagement. One of the key things that we struggled with at the start of the program. They are also low carbon heat ready now, so we plan to incorporate a shared air source heat pump heat network system at these flats at some point in the future. So it's good to know that we've been quite proactive with that as well, and when we are ready to install that equipment, the customers are going to be seeing reduced bills because of that. So some of the challenges with our original bid and our original program, because we couldn't access a number of properties to be able to do retrofit assessments, it meant that we were struggling, and we had challenges to install any shared measures like external wall insulation. So because of that, we needed to find a solution that would still give us a fabric first approach, but also allow us to get to an EPCC. So properties that we selected had a number of fabric measures. They had new roofs and new flat roof insulation, which meant whilst we were on that roof, it gave us the opportunity to install the solar PV systems as well. We had a number of leasehold properties within the blocks of flats, and although we wanted to make sure that those leaseholders were considered for fabric measures, it wasn't necessarily feasible to issue additional capital to those properties that weren't eligible for funding. So we again found that the solar share system was really beneficial for that purpose, being able to separate out different levels of solar kilowatt peak to each flat. Resident engagement. So we notified all of the customers of the works that we were doing. Because all the metering equipment was external to the flats, the only resident engagement that we needed with those customers when we actually got to doing the works on site was that we just let them know on the day that the power was going to be going off for a short period, and obviously then making sure that the customers' fridges and appliances had come back on okay afterwards. So it was really really helpful and beneficial to us that we didn't need to sort of be engaging with those customers on multiple occasions, making multiple appointments to gain access to the property. Because there was limited roof space, traditional PV systems weren't suitable. We couldn't achieve the SAP requirements that we needed in each property to get those to a C. So again, the solar share system really came into its own there. By allowing us to issue different levels of kilowatt peak, as you know, based on designs from the retrofit coordinator and designer. They could tell us exactly how much kilowatt was required after the fabric measures have been done to allow that property to get to a minimum of C. So yeah, it was really helpful in that sense. The properties, we did find that because of previous investment works and ad hoc investment cyclical upgrades, each property was quite different internally, which meant that the SAT requirements were quite varied. SolShare, again, touching on this again, is that ability to be able to control how much solar PV is produced for each flat is really great. With regards to the properties which are being provided with less solar PV, we've always got that ability in the future as well to alter those kilowatt peaks. Although a new MCS certificate may be required, we've always got that opportunity to alter that kilowatt peak and eventually level that out. We needed to consider future maintenance as part of this project because we already had PV systems on one of the properties. We had quite a good program for cyclical cleaning of the panels, and rooftop works were being done as part of this works as well. So each property had new flat roof insulation. They all had a brand new roof, so we could be quite comfortable that for the lifespan of the PV system, we weren't going to need to carry out much maintenance to that roof, and therefore solar PV became more feasible. We found it quite challenging with supply chain, being able to develop different designs for each system. SolShare and Loom were really helpful and were quite accountable with the contractors. They offered training and helps with designing the systems to make sure that they were MCS compliant and to make sure that our specification was met. So one of the key benefits for us is the ability to monitor performance. The ability to demonstrate the benefit of PV through the portal will really help us with future business cases and future investment programs. We can proactively maintain systems, so when we get an alert for a system that may have developed a fault or that doesn't appear to be generating as per what we expect as part of the original design, that alert process means that we don't have to continually keep monitoring the equipment, and I mean, similarly in standard traditional installs, we don't have that ability to be able to monitor that at all. So it's really good to be able to see that information and know that the systems are always going to be working to the full potential. Customer support and energy efficiency guidance, again, one of the key things that we're trying to do at YHG is to make sure that we offer as much energy efficiency advice to customers as possible. So being able to see when the customers are using their electricity and when the solar PV is not being taken full advantage of, gives us that opportunity to go to the customers and offer further education and advice about when's the best time to start using appliances. Can we help the customers by, you know, helping them with setting programmers on the washing machines and the dishwashers, so that they're really making the most of that solar gain. A really important part of the installation for us and the portal is identifying potential fuel poverty risk. So using the portal, we can see on a granular level in each flat what the energy demand for that property is, how much has been consumed, how much PV they've generated and used and consumed, and how much has been exported. That's really helpful for us. You know, we know what systems are in the properties with regards to heating. Some have got panel heaters, some have got storage heaters. And it's really important that we can keep an eye on that and understand when a customer might not be able to afford to heat their property. And likewise, there may be an issue with the heating that needs a repair, and the customer isn't always, you know, forthcoming with telling us about that, and often quite concerned if there's any potential fuel poverty. So yeah, really important thing for us is to be able to make sure that the customers are being looked after and getting support when needed. The alerts that we require, Loom have been really forthcoming with tailoring those alerts and developing the portal where required to make sure that we're seeing the information that we want to see. And again, referring back to the fact that there's no equipment within the flats, we can proactively maintain those without needing to go into the properties. We can make sure on an annual basis or whenever we cyclically service the equipment that we don't need to keep in touch with the customer. We can write to them and let them know what we're doing. And also with regards to actually accessing the properties to do electrical checks and things like that, everything's external to the flats in these cases, so resident engagement is quite low. Again, that was quite useful throughout the installation process as well, and meant that residents didn't have the same level of disruption as we expected with other systems and other opportunities through fabric, other fabric measures and traditional PV systems. So this is just a snapshot of one of the properties, one of the blocks within the site of which has had PV. Sorry. You can see there that the solar consumed is 230 kilowatts, the energy demand of almost 3,000 kilowatts, the solar delivered, which is important, and the solar exported. That's really important for us. We can see when that solar has been exported, and again, that sort of goes back to that resident engagement and education piece, and how we can make sure that the customers are taking full advantage of that solar PV. It also highlights where potentially we might benefit, or the customers might benefit from future battery storage installs, to make sure that, you know, they are capturing that full generation of electricity from the panels. So delivery challenges and future considerations. So again, supply chain training has been really important, and Loom have been really helpful throughout the whole process to make sure that the suppliers are trained. One thing that we have found is that obviously with supply chain, you've got your principal contractor, you've got subcontractors, and sometimes labour only subcontracted to those as well. And it's important for us, if we do roll any future systems out, that we make sure that everybody who's actually engaged with the installation, design and delivery of that system has got full training and is fully aware of how the system works and is commissioned. Loom have been on site numerous times with the suppliers and been really helpful through the commissioning process as well. Roof maintenance and component replacements. This is always a key consideration for us when we develop investment programs. And I think in this case, we've been quite fortunate that the roofs have been replaced. But as we start to look at future roof maintenance and roof replacements, we'll start to use that as a factor as to whether or not we decide to put a new solar PV system on the roof at the same time. I think it's quite important that those two programs are blended, and wherever we can, we maximise that potential while there's already access equipment up, there's already engineers and supply chain on site doing works. Targeted resident engagement and education. So again, in the future, we can use all of these types of systems, and any new installations that we do, we'll consider that ability to be able to educate the residents and to assist with fuel poverty. I think that's a really good selling point for us, and part of our wider commitment to reducing fuel poverty within our portfolio. Future solar panel maintenance and access arrangements. So again, where we do currently have PV systems, it's often the case that they're on a traditional pitched roof. We have a supply chain who can go and clean the panels for us on a regular basis using sort of the long reach poles. That's not always an option for us with the flat roof system, so I think it's important that we consider that in future. Make sure obviously that there's man safe and safety equipment installed on the roofs, and to make sure that where we can, we install an internal loft hatch or roof hatch or external access equipment for ease of future maintenance. A key one is service charge implications. So because the sole share sits within the communal area and is a communal cost to share, I think we've taken the decision on this occasion that we'd obviously absorb those costs of installing the equipment, but we do need to be considerate of that in the future. And how is the cost of maintenance and upkeep going to be shared across the flats, and how is it going to be fair to customers who are on who are gaining various different benefits from the PV? You know, some might be on a higher kilowatt peak, while some are on a reduced kilowatt peak, to make sure we've got those sat points. So how do we make sure that service charge is fair? Illuma are currently talking to us about potential installs through future grant funding opportunities like ECO and SHDF. So we really want to make sure that we're maximising that funding potential. I'm sure Ramin will be able to touch on this a little bit more. But it's important, especially with the recent changes to ECO4, that we maximise that opportunity for our residents. So where we can, we're doing further surveys and feasibility studies with Illuma and our supply chain to make sure that wherever possible we can get those funded installs through ECO and SHDF.
Thank you both, Martin and Ramin, for the presentation. I hope everyone enjoyed this recording, and if you do have any questions, feel free to email Ramin or the info at Social Housing Retrofit Accelerator, and we can forward that on.